Welcome back to Midnight Affair Tales. Thank you for joining us. The wheels of the military transport plane touched down with a heavy thud. Travis Rourke inhaled deeply, but something felt wrong. He had spent years in war zones, places where death lurked around every corner. Yet, as he stepped off that plane onto American soil, a strange, sinking feeling settled in his gut. Home. It was supposed to feel like home. As he walked through the airport, the crowd blurred. His mind wasn't on the people, just two faces. Lena, his wife. Macy, his daughter. His heart pounded as he exited the terminal, scanning for them. Then he saw Lena. But the look in her eyes froze him. She wasn't rushing toward him. She wasn't crying or smiling or even showing relief. She stood stiff, almost reluctant. Beside her, Macy stood with her arms crossed. Her eyes, once full of life, were hollow. Dark circles rested beneath them as if she hadn't slept in weeks. Travis forced a smile. "Hey, kiddo." Macy didn't respond. She looked at him for half a second before turning away. His stomach twisted. Something was wrong. Lena forced a smile. "Welcome home." Her tone was lifeless. Flat. Travis took a deep breath. "Let's go home," he said, trying to push away the growing unease. As they drove, silence filled the car. The tension wasn't just thick, it was suffocating. Finally, Travis spoke. "Everything okay?" Lena gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Of course. Just, a lot's happened while you were gone." That feeling in his gut worsened. Travis turned to Macy. "How's school?" Macy shrugged, still staring out the window. "Fine." Her voice lacked any warmth. For the first time in years, Travis felt something worse than fear. He felt like a stranger in his own family. And then Macy muttered under her breath, barely loud enough to hear. "You shouldn't have come back." Travis's heart stopped. What the hell happened while I was gone? The house was the same. The same walls, the same furniture, the same framed pictures on the shelves. Yet it felt alien. Travis dropped his duffel bag in the hallway, his eyes scanning for something, anything, that felt normal. Lena walked past him, tossing her purse on the counter. "I'll get dinner ready." She didn't even glance at him. Macy walked straight upstairs without a word. No hug. No, good night. Nothing. Travis rubbed the back of his neck. In war, when something felt off, it usually meant a trap. And right now, his own house felt like enemy territory. He followed Macy's steps upstairs, stopping at her bedroom door. He hesitated before knocking. "Macy?" Silence. He pushed the door open slightly. Macy sat on the edge of her bed, scrolling through her phone, her face blank. She didn't look up. Travis leaned against the doorframe. "You know, when I was deployed, I thought about this moment a lot. Thought about coming home, seeing you." Macy didn't respond. He stepped inside. "Mace, talk to me." Finally, she looked at him. But her eyes were different. They weren't his daughter's eyes. They were haunted. "Why did you come back?" she whispered. The words hit like a bullet. Travis frowned. "What do you mean?" Macy looked away. Her hands clenched into fists. She wanted to say something. Something that was clawing to get out. Then, footsteps from the hallway. Lena stood by the door, arms crossed. "Travis, give her space." Travis stared at her. "Lena, what the hell is going on?" Lena forced a smile, but it was fake. Everything about her felt fake. "Nothing," she said softly. "You've been gone a long time, Travis. You need to ease back into this." Travis stepped toward her. "I know when someone is lying to me." Lena's lips tightened. "Let it go." Travis wouldn't. He could feel it. The truth was buried somewhere in this house. And whatever it was rotting his family from the inside out. That night, Travis lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Lena was asleep beside him, turned away. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. But then, a whisper. Travis's body tensed. He glanced at the clock. 1:32 a.m. Slowly, carefully, he shifted out of bed, stepping toward the hallway. The whispering was coming from the bathroom. He inched closer. The door was slightly open. Lena was inside on the phone. "I told you he's home," she whispered. Travis's blood went cold. Pause. Then. "No, he doesn't know anything." A longer pause. "I'll handle it. Just, don't call me again tonight." Silence. Then a quiet click as she ended the call. Travis backed away before she could step out. He slipped back into bed, controlling his breathing. Moments later, Lena climbed back in beside him, thinking he was asleep. But his mind was racing. Who was she talking to? What doesn't he know? His jaw clenched. His instincts were screaming at him. This wasn't just distance. It wasn't just Macy being a moody teenager. Something was happening in his home. Something dark. And whatever it was, Lena was hiding it. Travis couldn't sleep. His body was still, but his mind was a battlefield, analyzing, strategizing, preparing. Lena's words echoed in his head. No, he doesn't know anything. What didn't he know? Morning came too slow. When it did, Lena acted like nothing had happened. She kissed him on the cheek, gave a forced smile, and went about her morning routine. Macy, however, barely touched her breakfast. Her hands trembled as she stirred her cereal. Travis had seen that kind of reaction before. Not in his home but overseas. Soldiers who had survived bombings. Civilians who had seen horrors they could never unsee. He cleared his throat. Macy, I was thinking, maybe we could go out today. Just us. Lunch, maybe a movie? Macy's spoon clinked against the bowl. She looked at him, her eyes filled with something he couldn't place. Fear? Guilt? Shame? Before she could respond, Lena cut in. Actually, she has plans with her friends. Macy didn't correct her. She just looked down at her bowl. Travis clenched his jaw. His gut told him Lena was controlling this conversation. Something was going on. And he was about to find out exactly what. That night, while Lena was out running errands, Travis knocked on Macy's bedroom door. Hey Mace, can we talk? She hesitated before unlocking it. When he stepped inside, he noticed two things immediately. Her eyes were red. She had been crying. Her laptop was open, but the screen was black. She quickly shut it. But not before he saw a paused video. Macy, what was that? She turned away. Travis sat beside her. I know something's wrong. And I know your mom is covering for it. She bit her lip. You don't want to know, Dad. His heart pounded. Yes, I do. Macy wiped her eyes. She grabbed a flash drive from under her pillow. Her hands trembled as she handed it to him. You need to watch this, she whispered. But don't say I didn't warn you. Travis took it. Whatever was on this drive, it was about to change everything. Travis sat in his truck, gripping the flash drive like it was a grenade. His gut was screaming at him, telling him this was something he wasn't ready for. But he plugged it into his laptop anyway. The screen flickered. A grainy video file loaded. At first, it was just a house party. Loud music. Teenagers drinking. Someone laughing behind the camera. Then the camera shifted to a dark hallway. A girl being led into a room. Travis's stomach turned. The camera followed, shaky, hidden. The door cracked open. Inside he saw Macy, his daughter, drugged, barely able to stand. And around her, 5 men, laughing. Travis's entire body went stiff. His fingers dug into the laptop. A deep, murderous rage crawled up his spine. Then he saw Lena. She was in the hallway. She saw what was happening. And she walked away. The screen went black. Travis exhaled, slow and sharp. His fingers trembled. His vision blurred. His blood boiled with something beyond rage. It was hate. A raw, burning, monstrous hate. And at that moment he made a promise. I will kill every last one of them. Now before I go any further, I need you all to do something for me. I need to know where you're watching this from. Which city are you in? Which streets do you walk at night? Because let me tell you something, evil hides everywhere. Even in places you think are safe. Drop your city in the comments below. Let's see how far this story reaches. And if you're with me on this journey, you already know what to do. We're at 1,800 subscribers now, but we're not stopping. 2,000 is next. Let's make sure no one forgets what happens next. Now, let's continue. Travis didn't go home that night. He sat in his truck, gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. His mind was screaming. Tear them apart. Burn them to the ground. But revenge required control. So he took a deep breath. And he started with the first name on the list. Drake Connors. Lena's lover. Macy's rapist. The man who thought he was untouchable. Travis pulled out his phone and made a call. A deep voice answered. Haven't heard from you in years, Rourke? Travis exhaled. This was the only person he could trust. I need information, he said. And I need it fast. The voice on the other end chuckled. I'm guessing this ain't military business? No, Travis's grip tightened. It's personal. Pause. Then. Send me a name. Travis's fingers hovered over his phone before he typed it. Drake Connors. And as he hit send, he whispered under his breath. I'm coming for you. Travis sat in his truck, gripping his phone, his heart a steady drumbeat of rage. The name Drake Connors burned on his screen like a death sentence. His contact, Nathan Briggs, a former military intelligence officer, was the only man he trusted. If anyone could dig up dirt, it was him. A text came through. Nathan, got a hit. Address sent. He owns a nightclub. You might want to see this. A second later, another message. Nathan, oh, and he's got dirty cops on payroll. Be careful. Travis smirked. Good. That means the fear is worth something. The nightclub was packed. The neon sign read Oasis, flashing in electric blue. Travis walked in like he belonged there, military posture relaxed but eyes scanning everything. He saw Drake Connors immediately. Sitting in the VIP lounge, laughing like he owned the world. Surrounded by expensive liquor, women draped over his arms, and men in suits who thought money made them invincible. Travis stepped closer, watching. Memorizing his mannerisms. His arrogance. His weakness. Then he saw Lena. She was curled up next to him, whispering in his ear. Smiling. Touching his arm. Like she hadn't let their daughter be destroyed. Travis clenched his jaw so hard his teeth ached. He forced himself to stay still. Now wasn't the time. Instead, he reached into his pocket, pulling out a single .45 caliber bullet and a black marker. He wrote a single word on the casing. I see you. Then, when the bartender turned, he slipped it onto Drake's table and walked out. He didn't need to stay to see Drake's reaction. The game had begun. Drake Connors was not a man who feared much. Money bought protection. Status kept him untouchable. The system worked for men like him. But when he spotted the bullet on his table, a chill crawled up his spine. I see you. His blood ran cold. He scanned the club. Had someone left it? Was someone watching? Lena noticed his tension. What's wrong? Drake clenched his fists. Nothing. Just a joke. But it wasn't. He knew it wasn't. He called over one of his men, a thick-necked enforcer named Rigo. Find out who the hell left this, Drake hissed. Check the cameras. Rigo nodded and left. Drake tried to shake it off. But he couldn't. Because for the first time in his life he felt hunted. Meanwhile Travis drove. His mind was a machine. Cold, calculated. His next move needed impact. He picked up his phone and dialed Nathan. I need leverage, Travis said. Nathan didn't hesitate. Drake Connors launders money through shell companies. But here's the real gem, he's skimming off the cartel's cut. Travis smirked. Perfect. Nathan continued, if they find out, they'll kill him themselves. Then let's help them find out, Travis murmured. He pulled over at a gas station, grabbed a burner phone, and sent an anonymous message. A video attachment. Bank transactions. Proof. The recipient? A cartel lieutenant. Travis hit send. Drake Connors wouldn't just have one enemy now. He'd have an army. Drake Connors woke up the next morning to a nightmare. His phone buzzed nonstop. Messages. Missed calls. One from his lawyer. Another from his inside cop. But the one that made his stomach drop? Unknown, you stole from us. We're coming. Drake sat up, his hands shaking. This had to be a setup. Someone was framing him. Then his door burst open. Rigo, his enforcer, stormed in. Boss, we got a problem. Drake's heart pounded. What now? Rigo threw a printed email on the table. This showed up in every major news outlet's inbox. Anonymous. Drake picked it up. His face drained of color. It was a detailed expose of his entire operation. Illegal deals. Money laundering. Sex trafficking ties. This wasn't just bad. This was lethal. Find out who did this, Drake snapped. And kill them. Rigo hesitated. Boss, I think you already know who did this. Drake's breath caught. A memory flashed. That bullet. The message. I see you. His stomach twisted into a knot. Travis Rourke. The soldier. The husband. The father. A man with nothing left to lose. Drake felt something he hadn't felt in years. Panic. And for the first time in his life, he wasn't sure if he was going to survive this. Drake Connors had spent his life outmaneuvering enemies. His money and power had always kept him protected. But now he was a cornered animal. He paced inside his luxury penthouse, gripping his whiskey glass so hard it nearly cracked. The city skyline stretched before him, but it felt smaller, tighter, like the walls were closing in. "Tell me you have something," he barked. Rigo, his top enforcer, stood by the window. Cameras at the club were wiped. But someone spotted a guy matching Travis Rourke's description. Could be him. Drake's jaw tightened. He had underestimated him. Then his phone rang. An unknown number. Drake hesitated, then answered. "Who is this?" A voice, low, cold, dangerous. "You already know." Drake's blood turned to ice. "Travis." "You think you're untouchable," Travis continued, his voice calm, too calm. "But you're not. You hurt the wrong girl." Drake swallowed hard. "You don't know what you're messing with, Rourke." "Oh, I do." There was a pause, then Travis spoke again. "Your world is burning. Can you feel it?" Drake's grip tightened on his phone. "I have people, soldier. You think you can take me out? I'll find you first." Travis chuckled, low and taunting. "Good. I hope you do. Because when you find me, you'll realize I was never hiding." The line went dead. Drake's heart pounded. He slammed his phone onto the table, breathing heavy. For the first time in his life, he wasn't the predator. He was the prey. And the hunt had just begun. Travis didn't sleep that night. He didn't need to. His mind was clear. His mission was set. He had taken down men like Drake Connors before, overseas, in war zones, in places where no one would ever find the bodies. But this wasn't war. This was personal. The next night, outside a high-rise apartment, Travis stood in the shadows watching the building. The first name on his list was Mitchell Banks, Drake's personal lawyer, the man who covered up everything. Mitchell was a worm. A man who hid behind paperwork and fake alibis. Not tonight. Travis slipped into the parking garage, moving unseen. The camera blinked red, watching. A second later it went dark. He moved fast, silent. His training was second nature. Every step controlled, every movement precise. Upstairs, Mitchell Banks sat in his office, pouring himself a glass of brandy, oblivious. He had no idea that his fate had already been sealed. Travis stepped into the room. Mitchell barely had time to look up. "Who the hell?" Travis grabbed him by the throat and slammed him against the desk. Papers flew. The brandy glass shattered. Please?" Mitchell choked, his face red. Travis leaned in. His voice was death itself. "You covered for them," he whispered. "You knew what they did to my daughter. And you let them walk." Mitchell's eyes widened in terror. He shook his head. "I was just..." Travis tightened his grip. "Save it." A blade flashed. Seconds later, Mitchell Banks' lifeless body slumped over his desk, his blood soaking the expensive wood. Travis wiped the blade clean. One down. And so many more to go. The city woke up to a scandal. The news spread like wildfire. Mitchell Banks found dead in his office. Brutally murdered. The media exploded. The police scrambled for answers. And in the middle of it all, Drake Connors sat in his office, gripping his phone, his face pale. "First my business gets exposed. Now Banks." He turned to Rigo. "This isn't random. Someone's coming for us." Rigo shifted uneasily. "We got names. Word is, it's Travis Rourke." Drake felt sick. That name was a death sentence. "Find him," Drake growled. "Before he finds us." Meanwhile, in a small apartment across town, Travis cleaned his knife, watching the news unfold on the TV. He saw the headlines, the panic on their faces. Good. Let them fear. Then a knock at his door. Travis's hand tightened around his gun. No one knew he was here. He moved silently, positioning himself at the side of the door, gun raised. "Who is it?" A voice low, gruff. "You gonna let me in, or are we doing this the hard way?" Travis hesitated. Then slowly he opened the door. Standing there was a man he hadn't seen in years. Lucas Carter. Retired detective. Once a friend. Now, a problem. Lucas stepped in, shutting the door behind him. His sharp eyes scanned the room. He knew. "I don't know what you're talking about," Travis said coolly. Lucas exhaled. "Bullshit." He folded his arms. "Mitchell Banks is dead. You're back in town. And I know that look in your eyes." Travis said nothing. Lucas leaned in. "I don't blame you. If it were my daughter, I'd burn this whole city to the ground. Travis's fists clenched. Then why are you here? Lucas studied him for a long moment. Then his next words shocked him. I'm not here to stop you, he said. I'm here to help. Travis stared at Lucas, searching for any sign of deception. The man was a former detective, an old friend, but trust wasn't something he handed out anymore. You want to help me? Travis asked, his voice cold. Lucas leaned against the table, arms crossed. I know what happened, Rourke. I know what those bastards did to your daughter. And I know how this ends. He exhaled. They won't stop hunting you. The only way to finish this is to take them all out. Travis clenched his jaw. That's the plan. Lucas nodded. Then let's do it right. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Travis stepped back. He gestured toward the whiskey bottle on the table. You drink? Lucas smirked. Not on the job. Travis sat down, running a hand over his face. You got information? Lucas pulled out a folder and tossed it onto the table. Everything I could dig up. Bank records, police reports, even security details. They've tightened protection since Mitchell Banks got taken out. Travis flipped through the papers. Names, addresses, routines. He smirked. You always were thorough. Lucas shrugged. I may not wear a badge anymore, but I still know how to do my job. Travis's eyes darkened as he pointed at the next name on the list. Officer Brent Halliday. A corrupt cop who helped cover up Macy's assault. The next one to fall. Lucas leaned in. You have a plan? Travis's voice was ice. Yeah. I make sure he never sees the sunrise again. Officer Brent Halliday had spent years cleaning up messes for people like Drake Connors. Hiding evidence, burying cases, making problems disappear. Tonight he thought it was just another shift. He was wrong. Travis watched from the rooftop across the street, eyes locked on the police station. Halliday was walking to his car, whistling like a man who had never faced consequences. Travis whispered into his earpiece. You in position? Lucas's voice crackled back. South Alley. No cameras. Good. Travis moved. Silent. Unseen. Halliday unlocked his car and slid inside. He didn't even get a chance to start the engine before the cold steel of a gun pressed against his temple. Drive, Travis ordered. Halliday stiffened. You don't want to do this. Drive or I pull the trigger. Halliday obeyed, his hands shaking as he pulled out of the lot. Minutes later, they arrived at an abandoned warehouse. Lucas was already there, waiting. Halliday's breath came in short gasps as Travis forced him out of the car. Please, look, I didn't have a choice. I was just following orders. Travis threw him to the ground. You knew what they did to my daughter. His voice was quiet, deadly. And you let it happen. Halliday shook his head. It wasn't my call. Travis pressed the barrel of his gun against the cop's forehead. Then whose call was it? Halliday swallowed hard. You think Drake Connors is the only one? He's just a piece of it. Travis frowned. What are you talking about? Halliday's lips trembled. There's someone bigger. Someone who? The gunshot cut him off. A sniper round straight through the skull. Travis and Lucas dropped to the ground as the echo of the shot faded into silence. Lucas cursed. They just cleaned house. Travis clenched his jaw. The enemy had just moved first. And now, they knew he was coming. The warehouse was silent except for the dripping of blood pooling beneath Halliday's lifeless body. Travis exhaled, standing slowly. He could feel the heat of Lucas's stare. This just got complicated, Lucas muttered. Whoever they are, they don't just clean up their messes, they erase them. Travis tightened his grip on his gun. That means we're getting close. Lucas looked at the body. What now? Travis's jaw clenched. We move faster. Lucas studied him. This isn't war, Rourke. You go in blind, you'll end up like Halliday. Travis smirked, but it wasn't amusement. It was pure, controlled rage. Then I guess I'll have to be smarter. Lucas sighed. Look, I need to know something. How far are you willing to go? Travis met his gaze, eyes cold. There is no too far. Lucas nodded slowly. Then we make our next move. Travis turned away, his mind already calculating. He needed to find the sniper. And when he did, he wouldn't miss. The city never slept. Behind the glowing billboards and the high-rise buildings, power moved in silence. Travis knew the game. He had played it overseas, taking down warlords who thought their money made them gods. Now he was hunting men who had never faced consequences. Tonight, it was Jordan Sinclair's turn. The mayor's son. One of the men responsible for what happened to Macy. Shielded by his father. Protected by the system. Not anymore. 10:42 p.m., the Sinclair estate. Jordan Sinclair sat in his luxury penthouse, scrolling through his phone. He had just snorted a line of coke off a glass table, his confidence as high as his intoxication. A woman lay asleep in his bed, another disposable conquest. Another girl who didn't know who she was dealing with. A buzzing noise made him glance at his phone. A notification. He frowned. A text from an unknown number. Unknown, you're next. His blood turned to ice. Then, a video attachment. Jordan's hands trembled as he clicked it. It was surveillance footage from the night of the assault. The footage he thought was destroyed. He saw himself in the video. Laughing. Watching Macy struggle. He saw Drake Connors standing beside him. Then at the end of the clip, his mother's voice. Jordan, clean this up. If this gets out, your father's career is over. Jordan's breath came in short gasps. His mother. She knew. She had covered for him. His stomach twisted. This wasn't a joke. This was real. He grabbed his phone and dialed Drake's number. Straight to voicemail. His father. He needed his father. But before he could call, the power in his penthouse cut out. Total darkness. Jordan froze. A voice, low, cold, right behind him. You look nervous. Jordan spun around. A shadow moved in the darkness. Then, a sharp, crushing pain to the back of his head. Jordan collapsed, his vision swimming. The last thing he saw was a pair of boots stepping toward him. Then blackness. Jordan awoke to the sensation of cold water lapping at his ankles. His head pounded. His body was weak. He tried to move, but his hands were tied behind his back. He was sitting in a wooden rowboat, floating in the middle of a dark, empty lake. A man sat across from him. Travis Rourke. Jordan's throat went dry. What the hell is this? He croaked. Travis didn't respond immediately. He simply rowed the boat farther into the lake, the water rippling in the moonlight. Jordan started panicking. Listen, man. My father, he'll pay you. Whatever you want. Travis chuckled, but there was no humor in it. Your father can't save you. Jordan struggled against the ropes. Look, I didn't mean to hurt her, all right? It was just The oar slammed against Jordan's face. Travis's voice was quiet. Deadly. Say her name. Jordan gasped for breath. Blood dripped from his nose. Travis leaned closer, eyes burning with cold fury. Say her name. Jordan swallowed hard. Macy. Splash. Travis tipped the boat. Jordan went under. The water swallowed him, freezing, suffocating. His lungs screamed. He fought. Then Travis pulled him up. Jordan coughed, gasping for air. You had a choice, Travis murmured. You could have stopped it. But you didn't. Jordan cried. Please? Travis grabbed his face. His voice was a whisper. How does it feel to be helpless? Jordan sobbed. Please, I'll do anything. Travis let go. Jordan sank. The water closed over him, swallowing his screams. No one ever found the body. But the next morning, the mayor resigned. Lucas Carter stood at the crime scene watching the police scramble. The news was calling it an accident. The mayor's son missing. Presumed drowned. But Lucas knew better. He looked at the lake, his gut twisting. This had Rourke's signature all over it. The cops didn't suspect a thing. But Lucas? Lucas knew this was just the beginning. The city buzzed with whispers. The mayor's son was dead and no one knew how. Some believed it was an accident. Others suspected something darker. But one thing was certain. People were scared. Travis sat in a diner, sipping black coffee, watching the news unfold on the TV above the counter. Authorities continue searching for Jordan Sinclair's body after his sudden disappearance. His father, Mayor Richard Sinclair, has resigned, citing personal reasons. Investigators believe his son's death was an unfortunate drowning accident, though no body has been recovered yet. Meanwhile, police have yet to release any updates on the recent murder of lawyer Mitchell Banks. Some speculate these incidents could be connected. Travis smirked. Let them speculate. Fear was good. Fear made men desperate. And desperate men made mistakes. His next target was already lined up, Detective Brent Halliday, the corrupt cop who had buried the case. But there was a problem. Someone else was watching. Travis felt it. That itch in the back of his neck, the slight weight of an unseen stare. He glanced at the reflection in the diner's window, scanning the street. A black SUV sat parked across the road. The engine was running, but no one got out. Travis's eyes narrowed. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Lucas Carter answered on the first ring. You feel it too? Travis kept his voice low. I've got eyes on me. Lucas sighed. Yeah. I picked up a tail this morning. We're running out of time, Rourke. They know you're coming. Travis swirled the coffee in his cup. Good. Lucas exhaled. Damn it, man. You're enjoying this. Travis didn't respond. Because he was. 11:45 p.m., a warehouse on the east side. The meeting place smelled like rust and oil. The single overhead light flickered, casting eerie shadows along the cracked concrete floor. Travis stood in the center waiting. Then footsteps. A figure stepped into the dim glow. Drake Connors. He looked like hell. His once pristine suit was wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot, his usual arrogance buried beneath a layer of sheer terror. He wasn't here to threaten. He was here to beg. Drake licked his lips, his hands twitching at his sides. Rourke. Travis said nothing. Drake inhaled sharply. I know you're behind this. Travis smirked. Do you? Drake swallowed. You're a soldier. A killer. But you're also a businessman, right? He took a cautious step forward. I can make you rich. Name your price. Money, power, a new identity. You walk away and I'll make sure you never have to lift a finger again. Travis chuckled. This was almost sad. He stepped closer, his voice a whisper. You don't get it, do you? Drake's confidence wavered. Travis continued, I don't want money. I don't want power. I don't even care if I walk out of this alive. Drake's jaw clenched. Then what the hell do you want? Travis leaned in, his eyes like ice. I want you to suffer. Drake flinched. Before he could react, the warehouse lights cut out. Total darkness. Then, a single gunshot. Drake screamed, dropping to his knees. The bullet had grazed his shoulder, sending blood splattering onto the concrete. Travis loomed over him. Run, he whispered. Drake didn't hesitate. He bolted. Because Travis wasn't going to kill him just yet. No. He was going to destroy him first. Pause. A message for everyone watching. Before we move on, I have one question for you. Where are you watching this from? Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far this story is reaching. And while you're here, we just hit 1,800 subscribers. You guys are incredible. This is just the beginning. Now let's aim for 2,000. If you love this story, if you're hooked, if you can't wait for what happens next, hit that like button and subscribe. Because trust me, you're not ready for what's coming. Drake Connors ran. His breath came in ragged gasps, his shoulder throbbing from the gunshot wound. Blood dripped down his sleeve, but he didn't stop. He had to get away. Had to escape. Travis Rourke was hunting him. The streets were mostly empty this late at night, but Drake wasn't stupid. He knew he was being watched. He could feel it in the air, that heavy weight of unseen eyes tracking his every move. He stumbled into a parking garage, hands shaking as he fumbled for his phone. Rigo. He needed Rigo. The line rang twice before his right-hand man picked up. Boss. Drake gritted his teeth. Get to the safe house. We have a problem. There was a pause. Then Rigo's voice turned cold. You mean we have a problem? Drake's stomach twisted. What the hell does that mean? Another pause. Then a gunshot. The phone went dead. Drake's blood turned to ice. He turned slowly, heart hammering. A shadow stepped out from behind a concrete pillar. Travis. Gun in hand. Expression unreadable. Drake took a shaky step back. You. Travis moved fast. Before Drake could react, a fist slammed into his gut, sending him crashing against the hood of a parked car. He coughed, pain exploding through his ribs. You're running out of people, Travis murmured. Drake wheezed, spitting blood onto the pavement. Travis grabbed him by the collar and slammed his head against the windshield. Glass cracked. Drake groaned. Wait. Travis pressed the barrel of his gun against his temple. Give me a reason not to kill you right now. Drake trembled. Then through the haze of pain an idea formed. Something desperate. Something that might save his life. Drake forced a bloody smile. You're good, Rourke. But you're not thinking ahead. Travis didn't move. Drake exhaled, voice shaking. You kill me and you never find out who really runs this city. Travis's grip on the gun didn't falter. Drake smirked through the pain. You think I'm the top of the food chain? You think I did all this alone? Pause. Then, slowly, Travis lowered the gun. His eyes were sharp, calculating. Who? Drake chuckled, coughing. You're smart. Figure it out. Travis didn't hesitate. He pressed the gun against Drake's knee and pulled the trigger. The explosion of pain sent Drake screaming to the ground. Travis crouched beside him. I don't need you alive to figure it out. Drake writhed in agony, clutching his leg. Then a buzzing sound. Travis glanced at Drake's pocket. His phone was vibrating. Drake let out a broken laugh. Well, looks like you're about to meet them yourself. Travis reached down and grabbed the phone. One word flashed across the screen. Unknown caller. Travis answered. A voice. Oh, come. Dangerous. You've made a mess, Mr. Rourke. Travis's grip on the phone tightened. Who is this? A quiet chuckle. Someone who's been watching you. And someone who's going to end you. Then the line went dead. Travis stared at the phone for a moment. Then, in the distance, sirens. A lot of them. Travis turned to Drake, but the bastard was already grinning through the pain. You walked into my trap, soldier, he gasped. The sirens grew louder. Travis had seconds to make a choice. Stay and get caught. Or disappear. He made his decision. Without another word, he vanished into the shadows. Drake laughed weakly, blood pooling around him. For the first time he felt like he had won. He was wrong. Because Travis wasn't done yet. Travis moved fast, weaving through alleyways, staying in the dark. The city was crawling with cops. He needed to disappear. Fast. Then, a voice. You look like hell. Travis froze. A woman stood beneath a street lamp, hands in the pockets of a black leather jacket. Sharp eyes. A knowing smirk. And a gun holstered at her hip. Travis didn't recognize her. But something told him she knew exactly who he was. She tilted her head. You running from something, Rourke? Travis stayed silent. The woman exhaled, amused. Relax. I'm not here to kill you. If I was, you'd already be dead. Travis's jaw clenched. Who the hell are you? She stepped closer. Someone who doesn't like the people you're after. Travis studied her. Was she lying? Then, without warning, she tossed a key at him. He caught it. Warehouse on 12th, she said. Go there if you want answers. Then, before he could respond, she disappeared into the night. Travis looked down at the key in his palm. Another mystery. Another name to uncover. And one question burned in his mind. Who the hell just saved his life? Travis didn't waste time. He slipped into the shadows, moving through the alleyways like a ghost. The city was on high alert. Sirens wailed in the distance, red and blue lights flashing against the concrete walls. Drake Connors had set him up. That meant he had people in law enforcement. Travis knew the drill. Stay mobile, stay invisible. But his mind wasn't on the cops. It was on the woman. Warehouse on 12th. Who the hell was she? And more importantly, why was she helping him? 12:43 a.m. Abandoned warehouse on 12th Street. Travis stood outside the rusted doors, gripping the key the woman had given him. This could be a trap. He knew that. But he needed answers. He unlocked the door and stepped inside. The space was dimly lit, the air thick with dust and oil. Stacks of crates lined the walls. And sitting on top of one, was her. She smirked. Took you long enough. Travis studied her. I don't like surprises. She shrugged. I don't like wasting time. Pause. Then she leaned forward. You don't know who you're really fighting, do you? Travis's eyes narrowed. Drake Connors. She shook her head. Drake is a pawn. A well-protected pawn, but still just a piece on the board. Travis clenched his jaw. Then tell me who's holding the strings. She exhaled, crossing her arms. Ever heard the name Victor Langley? Travis frowned. No. You should have. She pulled a folder from beside her and tossed it to him. He opened it and his blood ran cold. Inside were photos. Victor Langley shaking hands with politicians. Standing beside military officials. Laughing with Drake Connors. And at the very bottom, a surveillance photo of Lena. Travis's stomach twisted. What is this? He asked, his voice low. The woman smirked. Your real enemy. Travis sat in silence, staring at the folder. The woman, who still hadn't given her name, watched him carefully. Victor Langley is untouchable, she said. XA. Dirty as they come. He's been pulling the strings in this city for years. Travis flipped through the documents, his rage growing with every page. Corruption. Money laundering. Political blackmail. And at the center of it, Drake Connors. A useful puppet. And Lena? She wasn't just a bystander. She was part of it. Travis clenched his fists. Lena worked for Langley? The woman nodded. She helped cover up the case after the assault. She knew who did it. She knew what would happen if you found out. Travis's vision blurred with anger. All these years he had thought she was weak. A coward who had let fear control her. But she wasn't just weak. She was complicit. He exhaled, controlling the fury burning in his chest. Who are you? The woman hesitated for half a second. Then she answered. Delilah. Travis nodded, filing the name away. Why help me? Delilah smirked. Because I want Langley dead. Pause. Then Travis leaned forward, his voice cold. Then let's kill him. Detective Lucas Carter sat in his car, watching the city burn from the inside out. Travis had set off a chain reaction. The mayor was gone. The city's biggest lawyer was dead. Jordan Sinclair had drowned in the lake. And now, Drake Connors had been found half dead in a parking garage. Lucas exhaled, gripping the steering wheel. He had spent years trying to clean up the rot in this city. And now, one man was doing it with a body count. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Drake Connors had survived. And if anyone knew where Travis Rourke was going next, it was him. Drake answered, his voice weak. Carter? Lucas exhaled. We need to talk. Travis sat across from Delilah in the dimly lit warehouse, the silence between them thick with unspoken tension. He had seen monsters before, on the battlefield, in dark corners of the world where life had no value. But this was different. Victor Langley. The name carried weight. XI. A ghost in the system. A man who pulled the strings from the shadows. Travis had spent weeks hunting animals like Drake Connors. But Langley? Langley was the one who built the cage. He looked up at Delilah. How do I get to him? She smirked. You don't. Travis's jaw tightened. She leaned forward, her voice barely above a whisper. Langley is untouchable. You try to go at him head-on, you'll end up in a ditch before you even get a shot off. Travis exhaled, thinking. So what's the play? Delilah pulled out a USB drive and slid it across the table. This has every dirty deal Langley's ever made. Offshore accounts. Blackmail files. Even the politicians he owns. Travis picked it up. And how does this help me kill him? Delilah smirked. Because we're going to turn his world against him first. Travis narrowed his eyes. You want to dismantle his empire before taking him out. Exactly. She leaned back. A man like Langley? He's only powerful as long as he's useful. Take away his control, his protection, his leverage, and he's just another scared old man. Travis considered her words. It was risky. But he had spent his whole life taking down enemies piece by piece. This was no different. He pocketed the USB. Then let's burn his world down. Langley knew. Somewhere in his office, behind layers of security and men who would kill for him, Langley was watching. And Travis? He wasn't hiding anymore. The plan was simple, make Langley panic. Step 1, expose his secrets. Travis broke into a local news station at 3 a.m., plugging the USB into their main server. Within hours, Langley's empire was unraveling. The news cycle exploded. Government cover UPS. Billion-dollar corruption network exposed. Victor Langley, the man behind the curtain. By sunrise, half the city was talking about it. Langley had spent decades building his legacy. And now, it was burning. Step 2, cut off his escape. Langley had one way out, his private airstrip. Travis got there first. He watched from a distance as Langley's men loaded bags onto the jet. Delilah's voice crackled in his earpiece. They're running scared. Travis smirked. Not fast enough. He aimed his rifle at the jet's landing gear, and fired. A direct hit. The tire exploded. The plane wasn't going anywhere. Langley's men scrambled, drawing weapons, but Travis was already gone, fading back into the darkness. The message was clear. There was no escape. Victor Langley had spent years controlling everything. Now, he sat in his penthouse watching the news coverage of his own downfall. His offshore accounts were frozen. His political allies were turning on him. He had spent a lifetime making men disappear. And now, he was the one being hunted. He gritted his teeth and dialed a number. The line clicked. A voice answered. "Drake Connors is dead," Langley said, his voice cold. "Brent Halliday is dead. The mayor is gone. And now you tell me you can't find one man?" The man on the other end hesitated. "Sir." Langley cut him off. "Find Rourke. And kill him." Meanwhile, Travis stood on a rooftop watching Langley's penthouse through a sniper scope. He had taken everything from him. Now it was time to finish it. He exhaled, steadying his aim. One shot. One kill. His finger tightened on the trigger. Then the door behind him burst open. He turned just in time to see the barrel of a gun flash. Bang. A bullet slammed into his shoulder. Travis staggered back, his vision blurring. A shadow moved toward him. And the last thing he saw was Lena, holding the smoking gun, smirking, and whispering, "You really thought I'd let you win?" Travis hit the rooftop hard, the impact jarring his entire body. His shoulder burned, hot blood soaking into his jacket. The shot had gone clean through, but it hadn't killed him. Lena stood over him, gun still raised, her lips curling into a smirk. "I knew you'd come for him," she said. "You never could let things go, could you?" Travis gritted his teeth, forcing himself to sit up despite the pain. "You were working with Langley all along." Lena tilted her head, almost mocking him. "Of course. You really thought I was just some scared little wife? That I didn't know exactly who you were, what you were capable of?" Travis breathed through the pain, his mind racing. He had been blind. He had thought Lena was just a weak coward, too afraid to stand up for Macy. But the truth was worse. She had always been part of the machine. Lena crouched beside him, her breath warm against his ear. "You were always a weapon, Travis. A tool. That's all you ever were." Travis clenched his fists. "You let them do that to Macy." Lena's expression flickered. A hint of hesitation. Travis saw it. Used it. Before she could react, he lunged, knocking the gun from her grip. Pain tore through his body, but he didn't care. Lena gasped, stumbling backward. Travis grabbed her throat and shoved her against the rooftop ledge. The city lights stretched below them, endless. She choked, clawing at his hand. You won't do it." Travis's grip tightened. His voice was a whisper. "You should have protected her." And then he let go. Lena's scream was swallowed by the wind as she plummeted. Travis didn't watch. He turned away. There were only two names left. Langley. And himself. The wound in his shoulder slowed him down. Blood loss made his vision blur. But Travis kept moving. Langley was still out there. Hiding. He wasn't running anymore. He was waiting. Travis knew where he'd be. His private penthouse. Where powerful men always thought they were safe. 2:37 a.m., Langley's penthouse. The security was tight. Too tight. Langley had called in every favor, every last bit of protection he had left. It wouldn't matter. Travis moved through the shadows, a silent ghost. One by one the guards went down. A snapped neck in the hallway. A knife to the ribs in the stairwell. A silenced shot through the skull. By the time he reached the penthouse door, only one man remained. Langley. Travis stepped inside. Langley sat in his leather chair, a glass of whiskey in one hand, a gun in the other. He didn't look afraid. He just looked tired. "You finally made it," Langley muttered. He took a sip of whiskey, then exhaled. "I always knew it'd come down to this." Travis said nothing. Langley set the glass down and lifted his gun. "Tell me, soldier, what's the difference between you and me?" Travis stared at him. Then he spoke. "I'm not afraid to die." Langley chuckled. "Neither am I." They moved at the same time. 2 gunshots rang out. For a moment, silence. Then Langley slumped back into his chair. A clean shot, straight through the heart. His gun slipped from his fingers, hitting the floor with a soft thud. Travis staggered, his body screaming in pain. Blood dripped from his side. Langley had hit him, not a kill shot but close. He took a slow breath. It was over. Langley was dead. Drake was dead. Lena was dead. Justice was served. Travis stepped forward, grabbing Langley's still warm whiskey glass. He took a sip, exhaled and whispered, "For Macy." Then he turned and walked away, leaving everything behind. Travis stumbled into the elevator, his blood-soaked hand gripping his side. The pain was dull now, his body had endured worse, but his mind remained razor-sharp. Langley was dead. Lena was gone. Drake Connors had been erased. The people responsible for Macy's suffering had been wiped from existence. The mission was complete. So why did he still feel hollow? The elevator doors opened to the underground parking garage. He moved toward his stolen car, forcing his steps steady. His vision blurred at the edges, his body weak from blood loss. Then, a noise. A footstep. Travis froze. Before he could react, something hard slammed against his skull. The world spun. Pain exploded in his head as he hit the concrete floor. A voice, low, familiar. "You really thought I wouldn't see this coming?" Lucas Carter. The retired detective stepped into view, his gun trained on Travis. Blood dripped into Travis's eyes as he tried to focus. "Lucas?" Lucas exhaled. "Damn it, Rourke. You left me no choice." Travis blinked, his mind struggling to process. Had Lucas betrayed him? Or had he just been doing what he always did, cleaning up a mess? "You killed them all," Lucas continued, stepping closer. "And now the whole city's looking for a ghost. No one knows it was you. But I do." Travis clenched his jaw. "So what now? You going to turn me in?" Lucas was silent for a long moment. Then finally he muttered, "No," and tossed a plane ticket onto Travis's chest. "Get the hell out of here." Travis sat in the airport terminal, his hood pulled low over his face. The fake passport in his pocket felt heavier than his gun ever had. Lucas had let him walk, had given him a way out. And yet, he hesitated. He had spent his whole life as a soldier. A man trained to hunt, to kill. Revenge had consumed him, given him purpose. Now he was just a man with nothing left. The flight to South America was boarding. Travis didn't move. Then his phone buzzed. A message. A known number. "Macy, where are you?" His heart stopped. His hands trembled as he typed back. "I had to go." Pause. Then, "Macy, I miss you." His throat tightened. He exhaled, gripping his phone, and typed 3 final words. "I love you." Then he stood up and walked away. Not toward the plane, but toward the city. Because ghosts don't get to rest. And Travis Rourke wasn't done just yet. Months passed. The city tried to forget. Drake Connors was gone. Victor Langley's empire had collapsed. The mayor had resigned in disgrace. And yet, the whispers continued. A man with no name. A soldier who had burned the corruption to the ground and vanished. Some called him a ghost. Others called him a monster. But Macy? She called him Dad. Because somewhere out there, in the shadows of a city that had failed him, Travis Rourke was still watching. Still waiting. Still hunting. Because some sins can never be forgiven. Macy sat on her bed, staring at the envelope in her hands. It had arrived that morning. No return address, no markings except for her name written in her father's handwriting. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper, written in short, sharp sentences. "Macy, I know you have questions. I know you wonder if I'll ever come back. The truth is, I don't know. What I didn't do for revenge. I did it because you deserve justice. Because you deserve peace. But men like me don't get peace. They get forgotten. And that's okay. I just need you to know that no matter where I am, I never stopped loving you. You were the only thing that ever mattered. Live your life. Be free. And never, ever be afraid again. Dad." Macy exhaled, blinking back tears. She read the letter again. And again. Then, slowly, she folded it and placed it inside her nightstand. She wouldn't cry. Not anymore. Because this wasn't a goodbye. It was a promise. Her father was still out there. Somewhere. Watching. Travis Rourke had mastered the art of disappearing. The city no longer held anything for him. No family. No home. He walked through the rain, the weight of his past heavy on his shoulders. He had survived the war. But what came next? For the first time he didn't know. His fake passport and cash were tucked inside his jacket. South America was still an option. So was Europe. He could vanish forever. But a part of him wondered, was that really what he wanted? The world still had monsters. Still had men like Langley. Still had victims who never got justice. And Travis Rourke? He was very, very good at delivering justice. He stepped into a dark alley, his mind made up. He wouldn't run. He wouldn't hide. He would become the shadow they feared. The kind of man that evil had nightmares about. The legend was just beginning. The news cycle had moved on. The city had buried its dead. The names of the fallen men, Drake Connors, Victor Langley, Jordan Sinclair, became whispers of caution. The newspapers called it a mystery. No suspects. No witnesses. Just a series of deaths tied to a ghost that didn't exist. Some called it justice. Some called it murder. The police had no leads. Lucas Carter, the one man who knew the truth, said nothing. And Macy? She just waited. Because deep down she knew. Her father was still out there. Still watching. Still protecting. Macy walked through the campus, clutching her books tightly. The world felt different now. For the first time in years she wasn't afraid. She had spent so long looking over her shoulder, drowning in the weight of what had happened. But now, she was free. The men who had hurt her were gone. Her mother, the woman who had betrayed her, wasn't coming back. She had scars, but they no longer defined her. She stopped by a bench near the library, pulling out her phone. Still no messages from him. She didn't expect any. But a small part of her still hoped. She had tried to move forward. She had enrolled in college, made friends, even started therapy. But no matter how much time passed, she always felt like someone was watching. Not in a bad way. In a way that made her feel safe. She looked around, scanning the crowd of students. For just a moment, she thought she saw a familiar face in the distance. But when she blinked, he was gone. She smiled to herself. She knew he was still out there. And that was enough. Lucas Carter sat at his desk, staring at the case files. They were marked closed. No leads. No evidence. No suspects. But Lucas knew the truth. He had let Travis Rourke walk away. And now, the city whispered his name like a ghost story. The vigilante who had burned the corrupt to the ground and vanished. Lucas sighed, rubbing his temples. Then, a knock at the door. He looked up to see an envelope sitting on the floor. No return address. Lucas hesitated before picking it up and opening it. Inside was a single note. Lucas, you did the right thing. You always did. Don't look for me. You won't find me. Rourke. Lucas exhaled, staring at the paper for a long time. Then he tossed it in the drawer and locked it. He wouldn't go after Rourke. Because some men didn't need to be caught. Some men needed to keep hunting. The city moved on. New scandals. New crimes. New stories. But some whispers never died. People talked about him. The man who had taken down the untouchable. The ghost who had delivered justice. No one knew his name. No one knew where he had gone. But one thing was certain. Somewhere out there in the shadows, Travis Rourke was still watching. And the people who deserved to be afraid? They knew it. Lucas Carter sat in his car outside a coffee shop, watching the world move on around him. The city had buried its demons. The deaths of powerful men, Drake Connors, Victor Langley, Jordan Sinclair, were treated as isolated incidents, coincidences of a corrupt system eating itself alive. But Lucas knew better. He sipped his coffee, his mind drifting to Travis Rourke. The man who had done what the law couldn't. The man who had become a phantom of justice. And Lucas had let him go. He had closed the case, erased the loose ends, and walked away. But that didn't mean he didn't think about it every single night. Had he made the right choice? Letting Travis walk free meant sending a message. Monsters wouldn't be protected anymore. But it also meant that he had let a killer escape. Lucas sighed, rubbing his temples. Then his phone buzzed. A text message. Unknown number, would you do it again? His stomach clenched. His pulse spiked. He stared at the message, fingers hovering over the screen. He already knew who it was. And so he answered with the only thing he knew was true. Lucas, yes. Pause. Then another message. Unknown, good. Lucas exhaled, pocketing his phone. Because as much as the world wanted to forget Travis Rourke existed, he wasn't done yet. Macy sat across from her therapist, arms crossed over her chest. Dr. Calloway gave her a soft, patient smile. You've been quiet today. Macy shrugged. Nothing to say. The therapist nodded. You've made a lot of progress, Macy. But I know you still feel like you're waiting for something. Macy looked away. She was waiting for a sign. A message. A single moment of proof that her father was still alive. That he hadn't just disappeared. Dr. Calloway leaned forward. Macy, I need to ask you something. Macy met her gaze. The older woman hesitated. If your father came back, What would you say to him? Macy exhaled. She had imagined this moment 1,000 times. But she only had one answer. I'd ask him if he's finally at peace. Pause. Dr. Calloway's expression was unreadable. And if he's not? Macy swallowed hard. Then I'd tell him to stop running. Travis stood outside Macy's college campus, hidden in the shadows of a side street. He had no intention of speaking to her. No intention of stepping back into her life. But he needed to see her, just once. She walked across the courtyard, books in hand, smiling softly as she spoke to a friend. She looked happy. And that was all he ever wanted. A wind picked up, rustling the letter in his pocket. His final words to her. He had written it over and over, unsure of whether he would actually send it. But now he knew he had to let her go. Travis took out the envelope and stepped forward, moving quickly. He reached her dorm's mailbox, slipped the letter inside and walked away. By the time she checked her mail, he'd be gone. And maybe that was for the best. Because ghosts don't get to say goodbye. And Travis Rourke? He had one last mission left. The city had changed. It had been months since the death of Victor Langley. The corruption that had ruled the streets for years had begun to crumble. The men who had once felt untouchable were either dead, missing, or lying low. But something else had changed too. Whispers. Stories. People spoke in hushed tones about a man who had burned the system to the ground. They called him the ghost. The soldier. The shadow that kills. Some said he was dead. Others claimed he had vanished. But those who still held power? They feared him. Because they knew, if he ever came back it would be for them. Lucas Carter stood in his office, staring at the files that had once kept him awake at night. He had worked the dirtiest cases. He had tried to play by the rules. And then Travis Rourke had changed everything. The men that Lucas had spent years trying to bring down? Dead in weeks. The corruption he had tried to fight? Crushed by a ghost. He should have felt guilty. But instead he felt something else. Relief. Because the truth was, the city had needed Travis Rourke more than it had ever needed him. Lucas exhaled, looking down at a sealed case file. It was the last remaining piece of evidence on Travis. He picked it up, walked to the shredder and fed it through. The past was over. Now it was time to let ghosts rest. Somewhere far from the city, in a small town where no one knew his name, Travis Rourke sat in a quiet bar. The whiskey in his glass was untouched. He wasn't here to drink. He was here to listen. A group of men sat at the far end of the bar, talking in low voices. He recognized the tone. The type. Predators. They thought no one was listening. They were wrong. Travis smirked to himself, his fingers tapping the table. Because he had walked away once. But evil never stopped. And if evil never stopped, neither would he. Travis sat in the dimly lit bar, his gaze locked on the men at the far end of the room. They were laughing, drinking, and talking just a little too comfortably. Predators always thought they were invisible. He had seen it before, in war zones, in cities where the rich and powerful thought they were gods. But these men? They weren't like Langley or Connors. They weren't running billion-dollar operations. They were small-time monsters. But monsters nonetheless. And tonight they had no idea they had just made their last mistake. Travis stood, moving toward the bar counter. He took his time, letting them continue their conversation. Letting them dig their own graves. I'm telling you, one of them muttered, smirking. She was asking for it. His friend snickered. You sure? I heard she told the cops. The first man waved a dismissive hand. They won't do shit. We own this town. Travis clenched his jaw, his fingers tightening around the whiskey glass. This was familiar. Too familiar. The same arrogance. The same smug certainty that justice would never come. Travis exhaled slowly. He had walked away from the city. He had promised himself he was done. But evil never stops. And tonight? Neither would he. The alley behind the bar was empty. The two men stumbled out, laughing, unaware that their night had just ended. Travis moved fast. Silent. Precise. One moment they were joking. The next? The first man was pinned against the wall, a knife pressed against his throat. His friend barely had time to react before Travis grabbed him by the wrist, twisting until he dropped his beer bottle with a yelp. The first man stammered, his eyes wide. What the hell? Travis leaned in, his voice low. Say her name. The man's breathing hitched. What? Travis pressed the knife harder against his skin. Say her name. The man whimpered. I don't know. Wrong answer. Travis slammed his head against the brick wall. The man crumpled to the ground, groaning. Travis turned to the second man who was frozen in place, too scared to move. You think you own this town? Travis murmured. The man swallowed hard. Travis crouched, his eyes cold, emotionless. You don't. And with that he was gone. By the time the police found them, bruised and bloody, Travis was already miles away. Another town. Another hunt. Justice wasn't a job. It was who he was. Months passed. Macy had moved on. Lucas had buried the case. The city had returned to business as usual. But the legend of Travis Rourke refused to die. Some people swore they saw him. A shadow moving through the streets. A nameless man in a bar watching. Stories spread of men disappearing. The worst kind of men. The ones the law couldn't touch. The whispers only grew louder. Was it him? Was he still out there? Or had the legend become bigger than the man? No one knew. But one thing was certain. No one slept easy anymore. Because somewhere in the darkest corners of the world, Travis Rourke was still watching. And if he ever came back, they'd never see him coming. The city was quiet. Not in the way cities should be, bustling, alive, but in the way a battlefield is quiet after the last shot has been fired. The men who once controlled everything were either dead or running. The system had been cracked open, its secrets spilled onto the pavement like blood. And yet, Travis Rourke was still here. He sat in a small cafe, his hood pulled low, watching people pass by. For months he had drifted. Town to town. City to city. Sometimes he thought about boarding a plane, disappearing into a country where no one would ever find him. Sometimes he thought about stopping. But stopping meant accepting that the world had changed. And the world hadn't changed. There would always be another Langley. Another Drake Connors. Another man in a suit who thought he could bury the truth with money. Travis had been built for war. And war never ends. He sipped his coffee, barely tasting it. Across the street, a man in a tailored suit exited a black SUV, shaking hands with another well-dressed man. The kind of handshake that meant deals were being made in places no one could see. Travis exhaled, rolling his shoulder. The bullet wounds had healed. His body was scarred, but his mind was sharper than ever. A part of him had hoped he would feel something when it was all over. Relief. Closure. But he felt nothing. Because this wasn't over. It never would be. Justice wasn't a one-time mission. It was a war without an end. And if the world still needed a monster to hunt other monsters, then Travis Rourke wasn't done yet. Now a message for you. Yes, you've made it to the end. You followed every chapter, every kill, every moment of justice. But now I have a question. Would you have done what Travis did? If the system failed you, if the law turned its back, would you take justice into your own hands? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. And before you go, hit that like button. Subscribe. Share this story with someone who loves a good thriller. We hit 1,800 subscribers. Now let's aim for 2,000. Because trust me, this is only the beginning. Justice never sleeps. And neither do we.